Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Suzerain, where, after a somewhat catastrophic performance, it's time to find out the fallout. Lucian, Petter, and I met in my office and decided to move out onto the balcony to get some fresh air in the increasing summer heat. They both looked uncomfortable in their suits. Petter was trying not to make eye contact and kept letting out depressing sighs. He wiped the sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief. What we knew now, all our plans for nothing. Yes, the USB leadership is beginning to target us as well. Not to mention Tarkin Sol himself. Yeah, what the hell was that all about? Sol appearing out of nowhere. Uh, came to the assembly. Yeah, he came to the assembly to make a statement, and it worked. I'm sorry that we failed to gather the necessary intelligence about his arrival. Something went wrong on the security reports. I still don't know what. It was partly our fault. Yes, we apologize. Uh, that wasn't your fault. In a situation such as this, I would have expected Carl to report it to me, but it's no excuse. We should have done it. We should have done our own research. Maybe. Yeah, what's the this then? Let's not linger in the past. You're right, sir. We must plan ahead now. We'll be organizing a cabinet meeting to discuss our present and future state of affairs. I will try to. I'll try and test the waters with our MPs. We can't let the party slip out of our grasp. Uh, Good. I wanted Schmiederster to give me a report. Yes, sir. Lucian looked at his watch. I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir. There was a tap on my shoulder. Olivia Suno had joined us on the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President, David Vichy is calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Tell him I'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony, then back to us. My condolences on the vote results, Mr. Rayner. Better? On a first name basis with the vice president, are we? She looked Petter in the eye as she said this and ignored Lucian altogether. Petter's eyes followed her as she walked out. Getting pretty hot out here. Huh. Okay, let's call it finished. You may both go. Alright, gentlemen. See you later. They both left. Fucking Petter can't keep it in his pants for 5 fucking minutes. I had been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Tigworth's new film, The Morning Shall Come. I thought I wasn't much of a movie-going mood, but it would have been unpresidential not to attend. With its massive budget and Chibert's territorial cachet, this drama was said to be a milestone for Sutherland's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. It was very hot and sunny day as Serge drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic cinema Anglais de something something. Erlori, that's the word. The very first cinema in Swordsland. Serge had maxed out the air conditioning to keep the Cadilla comfortable. I kept silent through most of our ride in on the H1. I couldn't get my mind off the results of the assembly vote. Frank fidgeted with his tie and he stared out the window. Yeah, worried about the university exam, son? Since when do you care what's happening in my life? Hey! It's probably fair. This is just gonna sound like a lie, so you know I'll support you whether or not you pass or fail those exams. What an honor, Your Highness. Fuck off. Frank, don't talk to your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. Uh, let's just say you're hurting me, Frank. That's probably the best. Frank turned the head away to look outside the window. I turned to Dina. I mean, ignoring him was not really the good option. None of those were good options. Excited for the movie, sweetie? Dina nodded happily. What about you, Papa? I know you're sad, but failure helps us grow, right? Exactly. Now, where did you learn that? Diana giggled. From you. Now, no more politics. No more politics talk. Is that right, Monica? Of course, let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove in silence. Serge rolled down the soundproof glass between us. Sir, we are about to enter Erlory, fucking unpronounceable town name. Uh, we'll be at the cinema in a few minutes. Thank you, Serge. I took a brief look outside as Serge rolled the soundproof glass up again. I could see the many towers of Erlory rising over what was left of the old city walls. In the distance, there were several planes flying towards the city. As they got closer to us, I saw that they were military planes that looked like the sharp-edged Arcasian designs. They were probably headed for our new joint military base. Serge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We were at the main square in the town name. It's just, I just cannot pronounce that word. And the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us. Is this the place? Yep. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Serge pulled the car to the entrance of the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. Come on, let's get out. Serge opened the door and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path. Mr. President, how are you handling the defeat of your constitutional reforms in the Assembly? I respect the Assembly's decision. Thank you, Mr. President. And were you aware that Tarkin Soul will be present at the proceedings? I refuse to discuss Colonel Soul at this time. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque-style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and the event organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps. Madame, Mr. President, it's good to see you here. He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Alfred Kirburg, or whatever. Certainly not Kubrick. The honors are mine, Mr. Kubrick. I'm a fan of your work. Frank snorted. I glanced at him and he innocently took a snip of his cola. It's very humbling to know what you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind me asking, which one was your favorite? This one may be slightly different than my previous works. Uh, I love The Man Who Saved the World. Sure. He stared at me for a while as if he was trying to understand if I was joking or not. That's by Mikael Vargas, Mr. President. I bet my film The Sworded Stream. Sure, of course. For fuck's sake. For the top prize of the Bentley Festival last year. Frank looked at me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start. We entered the screening room. The lights dimmed and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a swordish soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed British farmer during the conquest of Bergia. The game stopped responding for a moment, but seems to be back now. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me. So, what did you think? Ah, curious. Soul leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I noticed at the assembly meeting, yet up close I could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. I'm happy the plight of the village might finally get the attention it deserves. Be careful where you extend your sympathies, President Rain. I am surprised to see you're still around, sir. What were you doing at the assembly? My country was about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by. And you were pleased with the outcome? Quite. There was a glint in his eye. A true president knows. Yeah, a true president knows when he must step down. A lesson you'd be wise to learn yourself. Yeah, I saw that coming, but still. I will not let an upstart like you tarnish my party and my constitution. You tarnished it enough for the both of us already. Ha! Some of his spittle landed on my cheek. As if you, Anton Rain, are above it all. As if you're capable of remaining president without getting your hands dirty. I'm no saint, but I'm trying to act for the good of the country. You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness. Ah, that's gonna be it, isn't it? He slipped past me and out the door. Sole security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that gathered. As Stark Soul, I heard someone scream, his guards closed around him and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family and Soul was long gone. Ah, fantastic. Golconda's threat against Turnists. Gazom experiences boom. Fuck. It's no longer going up. Yet, Gazom branch opening boosts local economy. These are good things, but the line is no longer going up. I don't like it. Gazom branch growth boosts local economy. 50 cents Peace Armada to assist. ZEC. Agnoli warns against Falklandian threats to the seas. ATO's IEC uncovers emergency energy resources in Polaris. Dirty extends blessings on Dissension Day. Okay, Roomberg whistleblower granted silent. It's gonna tell us that our secretary is a fucking spy. Whistleblower in safe house. Good. USP meeting criticizes president. To be fucking expected. Let's have dinner with our family. I arrived home from work, hung my jacket up, and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused, waiting my usual greeting from my wife and daughter Dina. Dina was out at one of her after-school art classes, I remembered, but where was Monica? From the living room, I heard a muffled sob. I entered to find Monica sitting on the sofa, a letter in her hands, and a look of despair on her face. I don't know what's wrong. Monica briefly rested her head on my shoulder, then handed me the letter. It's from the Department of Education. Frank's university exams results are in, and he failed again. He failed, didn't he? Just read the letter. I looked at the page below. Frank's name and address. His score was written 435 points out of a total of 1,000. And it's not good. At the bottom of the letter, the word failed was stamped in red. All those years of effort, all those private lessons, all down the drain. Maybe it'll be good for him to learn from his mistakes. This isn't just about Frank, you know. Him failing will reflect badly on you, at us. I just don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard a key turning in the door. Frank stomped in and was about straight upstairs when he noticed us both in the living room. Mom, Dad, what's going on? Have a seat, Frank. He took the seat across from us and I handed him the letter. He started reading it. Oh shit. Yeah. Oh shit. Son, we're not angry at you. I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink and washed his face. A moment later, he came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. That's my fault. I should have been around to help you study. Right, you should have taken a break from running the country to help your loser son. Frank looked close to tears. Monica put her hand on his shoulder. It's going to be okay, but you really should have studied harder, Frank. I know. So what am I supposed to do now? There's always military school. But you're the president's son, you still have options. Yes. Monica surprised me with her enthusiasm. If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into Kingsville University, I'm sure whole Sword State would have room for a bright boy like Frank. I'm not going to take life lessons from my Lord Alfonso. Whole Sword State would be amazing. A bunch of my friends are going there. I could still come home to do my laundry. But I failed the exam. This sucks. Are you sure about all of this? Isn't it technically illegal? You could also study abroad. Yeah, the People's University in Contana is free, and it also has an excellent medical program. Communism, I can dig that. Good boy. Not exactly how I was expecting to spend my student years, but anything's better than the military. This is the future of our boy, Anton. What should we do? I mean, honestly, I'd prefer him decide it, but you're going to United Contana, mate. Uh, Thanks, Dad. Whole Sword State still would have been my first choice. Yeah, I'm not pulling strings. Not only yours. But it's your call to make after the way I messed up. Monica let out a long exhale. What a day. Who's hungry for dinner? Monica disappeared to the kitchen, Frank to his room, I went to my office and began making some phone calls. That's gonna be some interesting news items. President's son goes to Soviet University. New school completed. Fantastic. Growth is still going down. Very down. Concern over drug trafficking. Okay, let's get briefed on the diplomatic state. I do not like the fact the line is going down now. The doors to the White Room, like everything else in the Maroon Palace's main nerve center, were painted white. I took a deep breath before pushing them open. Time for yet another meeting. At this time, it was with the people who liked me. I'm not sure Yosef likes me, but sure. The attendees rose up from their seats. Mr. President, Yosef nodded. He and Lucian sat down while David remained standing. Now that you are here, let's talk about our diplomatic strategy. David cleared his throat. Mr. President, if I may, I would like to provide you with a short overview of where we are at right now. Go ahead. Although we did not make a trade deal with Velen, we succeeded in making one with Magnolia, which means we have increased our presence in the region. These deals are important pieces of leverage and significant first steps in our global arena. We must now look forward towards the future. 1. David sat down, pulled out a few papers, and started going through them as he kept talking. Velen and Magnolia were practice runs. We must begin improving our relationship with greater nations. We need to elevate our international standing, especially with the threat of Rumburg looming. Yosef cleared his throat. Thanks to your wise investment, Swordland's army is on its way to becoming a force to be reckoned with. Whether it be Rumburg or anyone else, we can handle outside threats just fine. We don't need to beg for help from anyone. Being friendly won't hurt, right? I agree. There is nothing to be lost by making alliances. A military perspective is important, but these deals are about more than just gaining allies. We also need to consider the benefits of our economy such deals will provide, especially when we are still struggling to end the recession. David took a seat and brought out 2 stacks of documents. At the start of our term, I had a comprehensive trade deal plan laid out. Following the visits to Velen and Agnolia, we were to pursue potential trade deals with 2 great nations. Valsland is one of them, or at least was. Unfortunately, a trade deal with them no longer seems possible. Valsland's case, given the country's territorial ambitions, our alliance with Agnolia was rather a slap in the face. Now those commies won't be able to invade Agnolia without facing the might of the Swordish armed forces. It'll make them think twice. True, but as a result, we won't be able to conduct a trade deal, let alone proceed with any diplomatic missions at the moment. Unfortunate, so much needless dispute over such a small island. I'm afraid it might get much worse in the future. As we stand now, any kind of deal with Valsland is simply out of the question. Moving on to Lesbia. Our southern neighbor is one of the wealthiest countries in Ezremarkopa. A trade deal with them would be very beneficial, not just for our economy, but also for our regional and international presence. Not to mention that they are in the Arcasian sphere. Yes, it could open many doors to us. But true, a country as influential as Lesbia could help elevate our economy. That's it for the overview. As to the actual contents of the trade deal, the investments we have made in the Bergier region have yielded positive results. Lucian? Lucian pulled out his small notebook and quickly flipped through the pages until he landed on the right one. Looking at my stats here, the investment helped increase the wheat output of the region. We now have a surplus, which makes an excellent resource for trade. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I need to know your decision before we can proceed. What should we do? We can negotiate this with Lesbia. It's really the only choice we have. Excellent news. I will begin at once. That was all I had for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. Yosef saluted as we left the White Room. Line going up again! Recession hits workers. Not good. Sarna increases agricultural production. That is good. Healthcare quality improved. Again, also good. Avery development speeds up following highway construction. Also good. Currency loses value against Arcasian lira. Less good. Homelessness among the blemish decreases. Very good. Okay, Day of Descension. Morning haze surrounded the city of Dair as the sun dawned on the Day of Descension, the holiest day of the Nurti region. Celebrated the first message. Sorry about that. Celebrated the first message received from God by Saint Dast and his 30 disciples. As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the Ark Sanctuary of Dast Nurti, close to the public eye. This year, however, the first time ever, it was going to be televised. It was Lucian's idea as he saw it, granting the people a rare glimpse of the grand ceremony, and showing them how seriously their president took this holy event. Would ease any tensions that lingered in the region. So we arrived at the largest cathedral in Swordland. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance. This will work out well, trust me, sir. Of course, that's only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Please don't forget the order. Okay, I have to memorize shit now. This is the difficult part. First, you will need to grasp the holy scepter with your left hand, then touch the altar with your right, kneel before the archpriest, and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Good. Scepter on my left, altar on my right, then kneel and wait for the sword. Scepter on left, altar right, kneel, sword. Then sword with right hand, and give the scepter to the archbishop. Receive the sword, passing to a disciple. Okay. Grasp the scepter with left hand, touch the altar with right, kneel before the archpriest, sword on shoulder, touch the shoulder with right hand, hand the scepter over to the archpriest, and receive the sword. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, sure. Very good. You'll have to go first. I will come inside later and we will meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir. Okay, exit the car. Exit the car, and I was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. I waved the people as I made my way to the grand gates. The Ark Sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it cast a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top. Just standing next to it made me feel awe and dread in equal measure. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The archpriest and his disciples were waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they all bowed their heads in respect. The archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back up, tall and handsome in his mid-50s. He was one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even liked him to Saint Dust. Mr. President, praise God. It's a blessing to see you on our most holy day again. Welcome, welcome. So, our heads bow my head before the archpriest, which triggered a few murmurs of approval from the crowd. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both his hands, and everyone immediately fell silent. O great people of Sorland, once again we are gathered here to honor the Day of Descension. I am indescribably happy to be sharing this moment with you, as well as every blood and sword, old and young, tuning into the television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons and daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Oh no, not alcohol. Be good, my children, praise God, praise Swordland. He smiled beatifically. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. As the crowd burst into rapturous applause, after it subsided, he turned to me. Shall I move inside for your confession? Sure, let's take a photo first. Suppose the archpriest will side for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes. At the same time, I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. Most excellent. He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and nearest icons lining the walls. We walked up a creaking spiral staircase to the top floor and finally arrived in the front of the confession chamber. Right this way. He gestured toward a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light each and every one of the candles, one for each virtue and vice. I will be right with you. He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. Anton Rain, speak, speak, and confess now before one God, and may he repent your sins in the most holy day of Ascension. Uh, I confess that I'm not sure what I'm doing for Sutherland is enough. You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like. I am trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for it yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of Nurity, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you would like to confess? I haven't been the best husband. Family is the cornerstone of society. Under the watchful eyes of the god, men are required to protect their wives and family. But God created us as complex creatures. At times, conflicts rise among us. Tell me, what is your sin? What was your sin? I, I have been neglecting my family due to the stress of my position. Tragedy of neglect happens to all working men that feeds his family. Rejoice, God is kind to the matters of family. Is kind in the matters of family. Anything else you would like to confess? That is all for today. Before God, I thank you for sharing. You are now forgiven before God, Anton Rain. May you never sin again. The sliding window closed, and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of your virtues and vices. With this, one burning sins connected to you, and now smoke. Wait. With this, the once burning sins connected to you are now smoke, and then nothing. Let's extinguish the candles. One by one, I extinguish the candles. Well then, Mr. President, let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony. He led me through the 1,000-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. Well then, please have a seat. The wooden chair next to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. Are you ready for the ceremony? I'm a bit nervous. Happens to the best of us. It will be televised, after all. He leaned back on his chair comfortably. I wanted to talk to you about something. I realize it has been months since the Banfi Festival, but this is my first chance to bring it up with you. It's about the actions of the First Lady. As you know, the festival is a holy event. Letting a woman make the opening speech did not sit well with us. We share the same concerns as Mr. Lest. The woman's place beside her family, not giving public speeches in revealing dresses. Oh, for fuck's sake. Certainly not insulting the important traditions behind such an event. Disgust was apparent in his voice. Of course, we cannot ask you to do anything about it. She is your wife, but I just wanted to voice our disapproval of the situation. A woman presiding over such an important religious event. What have we become? I let her do the speech because people like you. Uh, these are both very antagonizing, but I let her do the speech because people like you still exist in Sutherland. His face soured and he did not reply. He looked me up and down for a moment. I also heard you decided on the new curriculum, and decided that creationism shall no longer be taught in Sutherland schools. Needless to say, I and the rest of the church are outraged. The possibility that entire generations of school children will have their minds filled with nonsense about evolution. Ah yes, nonsense. While failing to learn one of the main tenets of Nurity, it will hurt us for years to come. Religion doesn't belong in schools, just like it doesn't belong in my government's policies. Well, I was just a couple of knocks were heard on the door, and a young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, before letting us know that the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs, where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically as the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymns, an expectant silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. I started my walk about and approached the altar. Okay, yes, scepter with left, altar with right. I grabbed the scepter with my left hand and touched the altar with my right. Kneel before the Archbishop. Scepter in hand, I knelt before the Archpriest. The Archpriest laid the sword on my shoulder, touched with the right hand. Touched the sword with my right hand, and hand the scepter to the Archpriest, and waited for him to give me the sword. Archpriest handed me the sword, and I passed the sword to a disciple. I got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir." My eyes met the Archpriest, and he very slightly nodded. The ceremony went on for another hour and a half. Finally, the noon bells chimed, marking the end of the cathedral service. We left the cathedral to greet the waiting crowd. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We have proudly for a minute or two. "Sir, Caesar, I told you it would work." We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in Dire. Well, that didn't go horribly bad. Okay. 30 blessings for Stardust Ascension Ritual. And next episode we are going to see the cabinet meeting. We're going to have to see what the cabinet meeting holds for us after the clusterfuck that was the voting. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.